Manatira Vanam Chadi Jamanatira Vanam Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajachandranjana Jasodanandana Brajachandranjana Jamunatira Vanam Chadi Jamunatira Vanam Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribhajagacharya Astatarasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace A. Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaura Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Some time ago, I'm not sure it was here, probably it was here, through little PowerPoint presentation we discussed the prayers of Lord Brahma. Yes? Yes. So now we're going to go back, chapter 14 from Canto 10, and go very slowly, verse by verse. And I think we have 4 young people here, and we'll invite each one of you, we'll start over here. You can say something about Lord Brahma. Do you know who is Lord Brahma? Of this, your friend next to you, little girl. Do you know who is Lord Brahma? No idea. Do you know who is Krishna? Some idea, right? Krishna? Yes? Krishna? I've scared her, so what to do? Okay, we'll start with you. Something that you know about Lord Brahma, please. Just one thing. Not everything, but just something. Lord Brahma.
Just one.
Lord Brahma.
Created the world.
He's the what?
Created the world.
Created the world. Okay. How about you? Something about Lord Brahma.
No, Lord Brahma.
You don't know. Okay. How about you? Something about Lord Brahma.
He was the son of Krishna.
He's the son of Krishna. Even more specifically, he's the son of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. I'm going to say a few things so that you four will know something more about Brahma than you might have known before this evening. At the very, very beginning of creation, before the universe is even built, all there is in the universe is darkness in all directions. There's no sun, there's no moon, there's no electricity, there's no light, everything is dark. And Lord Brahma is born, the firstborn living entity, from the body of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and he appears, you probably remember this, he appears on a lotus flower. A lotus flower. And the stem of the lotus flower comes from the navel of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and he appears at the top on the lotus flower. And he undergoes austerity, tapa, for a long time, thousands of celestial years, which is much longer than solar years on Earth. And he eventually gets enlightenment. And Krishna imparts knowledge to Brahma. There's no other living entities, it's still darkness, he gets knowledge of everything, knowledge of the Vedas, imparted directly to him within his heart by Krishna, because Krishna is within his heart. And then he gets instructions to build the universe, because it's just darkness, there's nothing. There's no cell phone, there's no digital games, it's just, darkness in all directions. No light switch, nothing. Must have been cold, besides dark. So he built the universe. He built the universe, right? The creator of the universe. He's the engineer. He took the ingredients, he took the plan, he took the creative potency, he took everything from Vishnu, and then he put it together, built the universe. And then after building the universe, he has to fill up the universe with living entities of different species, so he takes care of that. So we now have a universe with lots of living entities all over the place. And during each day of Brahma, because he has so long, the duration of his day is really long. His 12 hours is 4,320,000,000 of our solar years, and then his night is of equal duration. So he lives a long time. During each day of Brahma, Krishna appears on earth, and he comes to visit Krishna, to pay his respects, because he's his father. Or Vishnu, who is his expansion, is his father. So we can say Krishna is the father. And then he sees Krishna liberate Aghasura. Do you know who's Aghasura? Who is Aghasura? But next, in between. Who is Aghasura? Big snake. Big one, 12 miles long. That's a really big one. And he liberates him. And then the cowherd boys celebrate with Krishna. Wow, nice going, let's have lunch. And they're having lunch, and Brahma wants to, it's important, Brahma, because it comes in these first few verses of this chapter 14. Brahma wants to see what is the limit of Krishna's mystic powers, and he gets the answer. There's no limit. Krishna does things to show him that. And then he offers prayers. So that's where we're beginning. Brahma is offering prayers to Krishna. And it's important to know the original form of Krishna looks like a human being and even does activities that are like a human being, like as a small boy he plays. Because when this pastime takes place, he's only 5 years old. How old are you? You're 5? You're 5. No, behind you, back over here. You're a little older than 5. What's your age? Yeah.
8.
You're 8. How about you? How old are you? 12. Kidding. Okay, so Krishna was at 5 when this pastime took place. And he's just displayed, although he's only 5, the potencies of Krishna are without limit. He is the source of everything, and he shows it. He manifests so many Vishnu forms and all of the potencies of Vishnu, all personified, singing his praises, and it's a big, big sound. And he shows the universes, not just one universe, all in front of Brahma, and then Krishna withdraws all of that. And he's just standing there, Krishna, 5-year-old boy, and it's specific in his left hand, because he eats with his right hand. So in his right hand, because he was having lunch with his friends, so he has a lump of yogurt and some fruit in his left hand, because he's like still eating and smiling. 5-year-old boy smiling at the creator of the universe. And so now Brahma is going to express what he understands about Krishna and what he doesn't understand about Krishna. So here we go. Text 1 from Canto 10, Chapter 14. You probably will want to read your Krishna book so you can learn more in very simple language than what I'm going to be reading about Chapter 14, the Brahma Vimohan Leela. Here's Lord Brahma said, "My dear Lord," remember he's just a 5-year-old boy. And here's the original person in the whole universe speaking to a 5-year-old boy. "My dear Lord, you are the only worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore I offer my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you. O son of the king of the cowherds," who's that? The king of the cowherds, his name? The king of the cowherds, his name? Nanda Maharaj. Is that right? Nanda Maharaj. Okay. Nanda Maharaj is Krishna's father. And Krishna is the son of Nanda Maharaj, the king of the cowherds. Your transcendental body is dark blue, like a new cloud. Your garment is brilliant like lightning. And the beauty of your face is enhanced by your gunja earrings. Gunja, this little red berry that grows in Vrindavan. Little tiny, smaller than a raisin. It's really, round gunja berries. It grows very specially in Vrindavan. So he has gunja earrings. And the peacock feather on his head. Padi picha. Padi picha. His peacock feathers. Wearing garlands of various forest flowers and leaves, and equipped with a herding stick, a buffalo horn, and a flute, You stand beautifully with a morsel of food in your hand. Because he was having lunch. And here's the BBT purport. Now this is, Prabhupada left this world having completed through chapter 13 of Canto 10. And this is the beginning chapter where his followers are now continuing the purports. In the previous chapter, Brahma, the creator of the universe, right? The creator of the universe, tried to bewilder the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, by stealing his cowherd boyfriends and calves. But by a slight exhibition of Krishna's own mystic potency, Brahma himself was completely bewildered. And now with great humility and devotion, he offers his humble obeisances and prayers unto the Lord. The word kavala in this verse refers to a morsel of rice. I said it was fruit. It's rice mixed with yogurt that Krishna held in his left hand because he eats with his right hand. Do you eat with your right hand? Sometimes. Okay. Sometimes you eat with your right hand. In the future, right hand's for eating. So if you have to hold something, you hold it in your left hand, so you can eat with your right hand. That's what Krishna does anyway. According to Sanatana Goswami, the Lord held a cow-herding stick and a buffalo horn pressed under his left arm, and his flute was placed under his belt. Beautiful young Krishna, decorated with multicolored forest minerals, exhibited opulences far greater than those of Vaikuntha. Although Brahma had seen innumerable four-armed forms of the Lord, he now surrendered unto the lotus feet of the two-armed form of Krishna, who appeared as the son of Nanda Maharaj. Brahma offered his prayers to that form. So, again, before all these prayers, Krishna showed Brahma unlimited four-armed forms of Vishnu or Narayan. And then withdrew them all. And then, so he's the source of everything. Krishna is the source of everything, and he can manifest some part of that everything, or the totality of everything, and withdraw that everything, because he's the source of everything. Brahma understands that, and he's offering his prayers to that original form of Krishna. Now we're going to read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. This chapter relates how Brahma, immersed in the great ocean of Krishna's sweetness, mixed with respect, in the ocean of devotion and knowledge, Brahma praises Krishna with affection and asks questions. Vishwanath writes, I am not afraid if the real devotees engaged in taking the heaps of jewels and thereby deriving great bliss mock my stance of selling jewels, taking a few jewels, meditating with determination solely upon the lotus feet of my Guru, my mind desires to cross the ocean of Brahma's prayers. The jewels he's referring to are the jewels of Krishna's qualities, his form, his activities. So he's going to enjoy the jewels of Krishna. And I have no shame. I'm not afraid. I want to display this before everybody. And I pray to my Guru that through this exercise I can cross the ocean of material existence and the ocean of Brahma's prayers. Then, After having attained devotion to the lotus feet of Krishna, Brahma, realizing directly the son of the cowherd king as the source of all forms of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, Brahma began to praise Krishna profusely. So the statement is, he now has realization of Krishna. It's not like he didn't have realization of Krishna before he built the universe, but now it's even more complete because he's seeing firsthand before him that original form from whom he derived the ability to build the universe. Most worthy of praise, Idye, Vasudeva, the source of thousands of forms, praised by all, from Brahma down to the grass, I praise you with verse in order to attain you. I offer these praises to you. I praise you in order to please you. I praise you who have a body tinted like the rain cloud, with cloth the color of lightning. These phrases suggest two things. One, the earth gets relief from heat through the clouds of Krishna's rain. And the Chataka bird devotee gets life sustenance from the rain cloud of Krishna. What's a Chataka bird? You know what a Chataka bird? There's a certain kind of a bird that he will not drink water except from water that's coming down from the sky through rain. That's how they live. That's the water source for the Chataka bird. And if it doesn't rain, they'll have no water. They don't go somewhere, and like birds sometimes do, take water with their beak from some reservoir of water. Only from clouds. So he's saying the Chataka bird devotee. So like the Chataka bird devotee, that their nourishment is the descending mercy that comes from Krishna in the form of his pastimes, his form, his qualities, etc. Hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is their sustenance. Brahma says, you are decorated with gunja berry ornaments in your hair and flower ornaments in your ears and hair. On the top of your head is a peacock feather. This description reveals the superiority of the gunja berries of Vrindavan to the jewels of Vaikuntha. You got it? Vaikuntha is a very opulent place, and even more opulent is Vrindavan, although it looks maybe very simple. Gunja berries look very simple, don't look like diamonds, but it has a special opulence that Krishna likes. The forest garland around his neck, made of local leaves and flowers, is superior to those made of flowers of the Parijata from Swargaloka. Parijata, he looks a little tired, so it's just like curling your arms. Do you need to lie down? He's gone. Okay. Okay. Parijata. Have you heard that word before, Parijata? Parijata. What does it mean to you, Parijata? Not sure? It's a very special tree, Parijata tree, that has Parijata flowers that grows in heavenly planets. Maybe you remember that Parijata tree, Krishna brought back a Parijata flower for Rukmini. Satyabhama said, get me the whole tree. Right? Remember now? So Krishna brought the whole tree. And Indra got all, hey, you can't take Parijata from heaven. And so he confronted Krishna, and guess who won? So Krishna took the Parijata tree to Dwarka to be with Satyabhama's palace. And it is said that the Parijata tree is jasmine flower. So jasmine flower grows from a jasmine tree. So Krishna was wearing Parijata flowers in Vrindavan as part of his garland. By mentioning the curd rice in his hand, his stick, and his horn, Brahma indicates the superiority of the appearance of the cowherd boy over all others. In mentioning his soft feet, he indicates that those wandering in the forest become filled with ecstasy on seeing those footprints. Mentioning that Krishna is the son of a cowherd, he indicates the superior fortune of Nanda over Vasudeva. Vasudeva, is this all new to you? Vasudeva and Devaki, the mother and father of Krishna, where Krishna was born in the prison house of Kamsa. Vasudeva, you've heard that before, right? So Vasudeva was in the capital city of Mathura, and Nanda was way over there in Vrindavan. But Nanda got to associate with Krishna all the time in his childhood pastimes. Meanwhile, Vasudeva's back in Mathura. Although he was the father, he didn't even have opportunity to be with his son. So Nanda was more fortunate. Although Vasudeva was the father, Nanda was with him 24/7. And Mother Yasoda too. Very, very special. Greatly fortunate. And finally, Jiva Goswami writes, Brahma begins praising Krishna, whom he realized as the highest form of power and sweetness, as his highest aspiration. O most worthy of worship, Idye is most worthy of worship. You are worthy of praise because today I have seen the whole material and spiritual realms enter into and emerge from you, the Supreme Brahman, composed of power and sweetness. Therefore, I praise you. Why? I praise in order to attain you, Krishna. But Brahma, you can attain me as Brahman or some other form. Brahma replies, you have a body of blackish color, like a fresh dark cloud. You have cloth, yellow like lightning. Far more attractive than the impersonal Brahman. Krishna, but the Lord of Vaikuntha and others are similar to that description. So why me? Brahma, but your face shines with gunja berries and peacock feathers decorating all around. You have a garland made of forest flowers and leaves of various colors. With heart attracted to Krishna's childhood pastimes, he points out more particular items. You have yogurt rice in your left hand, a stick and horn under your left arm, and a flute tucked into your waistband. This arrangement is understood from the description in the last chapter. These are special marks. You become beautiful with these marks. You have tender feet. These are feet suitable for a small child. But Brahma does not say that Krishna is just a child, since he has great respect for Krishna as his master. final paragraph. He does not mention his limbs, painted with minerals, a sign of his playing in Vrindavan. At last, he mentions the desired object of all these descriptive elements. You are the son of Nanda, king of the cowherds. All the elements are automatically included when the young boy is described with this term. Got it? By saying the son of Nanda, it includes everything. There's details and details, or we're using the word elements that are decorations of his form, but he's the son of Nanda, so he has all these things. I offer respects to you, to attain you, the child cowherd. Thus, in the beginning of his praise, he indicates the goal with great longing. He wants to attain Krishna. Now we're going to hear as we go along, because there's a question that always comes up. I'm used to the question. Wait a minute. He has all this knowledge, and he's the creator of the universe, and did he forget all that, or what happened? Did he get bewildered? And how did he get bewildered? Because he has all knowledge. How did he get bewildered? He is, when we go back, let's go back to Canto 2, Chapter 9 in Srimad Bhagavatam. In Canto 2, Chapter 9, we also hear about Brahma. And we hear about the austerities of Brahma. We hear about his coming before Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu says, I want to give you benediction, ask for something. He asks for several things. And he asks questions. So he gets the essential message of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam directly from Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu speaks it to him. Now he's before the source of Lord Vishnu. In fact, he saw the many, many, many Vishnus are all emanations from the original form of Krishna. And he's seeing it, and he has direct experience of it. He has full realization of it. And his aspiration after that is, I wish to attain you. No, to attain Krishna means becoming a resident of Vrindavan. He's not a resident of Vrindavan. He's visiting Vrindavan, but his residence is within the universe. He has a big service to do. We all have some service, but nothing like what Brahma has to do. And he has this great longing to attain Krishna, to become a resident of Vrindavan or participate with Krishna in his Vrindavan pastimes. But he can't. And one of the reasons he can't, he doesn't have that same mood of the residents of Vrindavan. What's that difference of mood? The residents of Vrindavan don't know all these things about Krishna. Now, it's not a disqualification to know all about Krishna. But when you know all about Krishna, and the longing is there to achieve this very, 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 there was 4 of them, very special intimacy of love that the residents of Vrindavan have, then Krishna may withdraw your understanding of his greatness and leave you with just the sweetness. So Krishna is the source of both. That's been said several times. And Brahma is able to perceive it, experience it, understand it, express it. And he's longing to get to the point where Krishna allows him, he bestows upon him that particular kind of prema. It comes up later in this chapter. He's very, very direct and explicit. May that day come. I'm the topmost person in the topmost planet of the whole universe. I built the thing, and I have the longest duration of life and everything else that people want. And I want association with Krishna. Those other things pale in comparison to this other attainment. I'm longing to attain you. And the rest, that's where the chapter starts. That's where his prayers begin. That's his objective. Now, we're not like Brahma. We're somewhere way down here. Really small people. But that longing is something that can take us to the topmost. Longing and mercy. So he wants the mercy that will fulfill that longing. And he gives his reasons why. That's what his prayers are made up of. It's a really beautiful beginning. We're getting a visual image through words, through sound, of the form of Krishna in his childhood feature, 5-year-old feature. His face, his earrings, his ornaments, the items that he's carrying, his flute and buffalo horn and stick for the cows or calves, the yogurt rice in his hand, his lightning-colored dhoti. From the last verse in the previous chapter, it says that Krishna is looking at Brahma with unblinking eyes. He's just gazing at him knowingly. Because he's just shown him, I'm the source of everything. Now what's Brahma going to do? And here's his devotee. Brahma's a great devotee. And now he's being made greater than a great devotee by direct experience of Krishna in his original feature in Vrindavan, as if he's a little boy, knowing fully well that, that's the very next verse. He's going to address Krishna as his father. The oldest person in the universe speaking to a 5-year-old boy, calling him his father. Brahma, what are you talking about? So we'll hear some more about that tomorrow morning. Now it's nice to have all this with pictures, but we're doing this in a different way this time. Let's see if there's some discussion on these topics.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Couple of questions. One question about, I think you touched upon at the end of the class. In the beginning of creation, I think in the third canto we read, Lord Vishnu gives a benediction to him, saying that you never gets bewildered to Brahma. But in the following chapters, Brahma gets bewildered by creating, getting attracted to his own daughter. That Prabhupada comments saying that it would have happened in another kalpa, not in the same kalpa after Vishnu gave the benediction.
We covered this the last time. I remember the very same topic you asked.
So this time, Brahma gets bewildered again. This happens, in this time, like 5,000 years back.
So what's your point? It says this here and says that there. What's going on? That's your point?
Yeah, there Prabhupada says actually, Brahma never gets bewildered after he got the benediction. But again, it looks like he got bewildered.
Okay, so it says this here and that there. What's going on? It can be explained in different ways. Like one of the easy ways that is convenient is his bewilderment is not an ordinary person's bewilderment. That is to say, Arjuna became bewildered because Krishna arranged for his bewilderment. And similarly, Brahma's bewilderment was a different one because it was arranged by Krishna, so that this chapter and this exchange with Brahma could take place. That other kind of bewilderment is not through the agency of the internal potency. The other kind of bewilderment is one forgets oneself, one forgets the source of everything, God. He didn't become an atheist or an agnostic or a materialist. He was curious about the extent of the Lord's powers, and that was disclosed to him. So he's going to say that later. You are very merciful. Not only you showed me that your potencies have no limit, you've shown me your original form. So the bewilderment is more, and what I'm saying here is, it's more astonishment, which is a transcendental ecstasy for a person like Brahma, than it is the bewilderment of a living entity that doesn't know what's what. So he wasn't bewildered in that way, and would not become bewildered in that way. But Krishna's extending a very special kind of reciprocation to him. He was curious. Krishna fulfilled his curiosity. And he was astonished.
The other question, Maharaj, regarding the greatness and sweetness. When we understand the other person is so great, there will be a respect but when the sweetness comes, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking there will be a familiarity. How does they go together? How do we keep...
Say a whole sentence. How do we keep what? How do you keep your bearings straight? Well, we're sadhakas. We're trying to restore a forgotten relationship with Krishna. And in doing so, we're hearing about both from Brahma and the whole of the Bhagavatam. The both means the majesty, the opulence. He is the source of everything. And we're hearing it over and over and over and over and over in different ways. And at the same time, there's sweetness. So we're cultivating an understanding, a cognizance, an awareness, an appreciation of Krishna Tattva, that these are two aspects manifest ad limitedly simultaneously within Krishna. That's part of our sadhana, is to understand Krishna Tattva. It's part of Krishna Tattva. When that Krishna Bhakti becomes matured, like if for these great acharyas, it's matured, they understand both, they're commenting on both, and they're aspiring, like Brahma is aspiring, or they're already there, just coming down from that position, where there's only one thing, and that's the sweetness of Krishna. And when the opulence is shown, it's just their mood of love, like the resident of Vrindavan specifically, they're not conscious of, it's not From their side, their love is so great that they can't even fathom anything other than the loving dimension in their relationship with Krishna. And from Krishna's side, he covers them with Yogamaya. So no, we're not eligible for that at this point. The Yogamaya influence in our case is to be engaged in service to Krishna as opposed to in competition with him. That's the Yogamaya access that we have, you and I and sadhakas have. That day may come where Krishna will cover the opulence feature from our awareness or consciousness and leave only the sweetness part, but that's in his hand. We may hanker for it, that's what Brahma is wanting, but it's in Krishna's hand. That day may come. He'll just cause us to forget all that we know and just have all that's left is the sweetness aspect, the intimacy of loving exchange with him in some manner. And he invites that, but we have to become eligible first. Okay.
Sumita Martin's brother.
Yeah.
And she reads Bhagavatam very nicely every day.
Every day? Every day? Very good. And you read with a reading group? Okay. Okay. Good. How are we doing? Anything else in the room? Is there something else over here?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Maharaj, I am just confused, like when Brahma comes, so first he see Garbhodayakshay Vishnu or he sees Krishna first? 5 years old.
When he's 5 years old?
No, when Brahma comes, he's like everything dark, right?
Okay, at the very beginning of creation.
Yeah.
And he sees Krishna, he sees the Supreme Lord. Who is it that he sees? He sees Vishnu.
He sees Vishnu or
Now,
Krishna?
he sees Vishnu.
Okay.
He sees the four-armed form of Vishnu and the opulences surrounding Vishnu. You can read carefully chapter 9, canto 2, and that's who he sees, Vishnu. He doesn't see the original Krishna form. What he sees is not Vishnu, like he climbs down the stem, he doesn't see the Garbhodakshay Vishnu. What he sees, the way it's described, it's called Yogpith. He sees the Supreme Lord in his place, the spiritual realm place. And surrounding him are all these personalities and expansions of him, his potencies and so forth and so on. It's not 100% the same, but it's quite similar to what he sees is quite similar to Canto 10, Chapter 12. The names of what he sees. You look at those two lists, and there's a fair amount of overlap. But what Brahma sees in Vrindavan is not Vrindavan. It's the spiritual world, and Lord Vishnu or Narayan in these so many different forms. So that's what he sees, and when it's all darkness in all directions. All of a sudden, poof, there's Vishnu before him, surrounded by all these things. And then they have some conversation. That's Vishnu. Now he's seeing Krishna in his original feature. He puts the two and two together. He's the source of all Vishnus, because he just showed that. There's so many unlimited numbers of Vishnus, and then they were withdrawn in him. He's the source of them. Okay.
Thank you.
This question is from Govinda Mohini Mataji. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, I've heard that there is a proper way to offer prayers. Can you please explain how we should offer prayers? I heard that we should pray with saying, Krishna, if you so desire. Can you please elaborate on this?
There's no hard and fast rules about praying, first of all. What you just repeated, Krishna, if you so desire, is meant to place Krishna not as the order supplier for you, but Krishna is the supreme, and if you so desire. It's a supplication. In many prayers, not all prayers, some prayers are simply glorification, but one of the dimensions of prayer, the people that analyze the elements of prayer, request is very common in prayer. So when requesting specifically, if you so desire. Now, it may not be spoken explicitly, but that's a mood of request within prayer. Like, for example, Uttara, when the Brahmastra was sent by Ashwatthama to destroy the child in her womb, she didn't say, Krishna, if you so desire, please protect the child in my womb. She was, please protect the child in my womb. Let this Brahmastra kill me, that's okay, but let the child be protected. It's implicit. It can be explicit, but it's not. If you don't say it explicitly, you're not in a penalty box or something. But there are many other types of prayers. I mean, the Hare Krishna mantra, please engage me in your service. Not if you so desire, it's, please engage me in your service.
This next question is from Katamrita Mataji. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please can you help me understand if Brahma is 100% in mode of goodness alone, or is he in mode of goodness plus a devotee of the Lord?
I'm not sure what the question is asking. He's certainly a devotee. You can't, so if it's just in the 100% of the mode of goodness but not a devotee, or 100% of the mode of goodness and devotee, well, he's a devotee. But he's not 100% of the mode of goodness either. He is in charge of the mode of passion, because that's needed for creation. But it's not specifically that he's under the influence of the mode of passion. He's in charge of the mode of passion, which is needed for creation. He's in charge of the creative principle. He's invested with the Lord's creative potency, Srishti Shakti. Now, see, is he a devotee? He's a devotee. He's our disciplic succession acharya. He's a pure devotee.
I think she wrote like a follow-up. If Brahma is a devotee, then is perfected being but in service of Krishna, and after his 100 years, does he go back to the spiritual world?
In the seminar that I gave on Brahma Samhita, which I'm Krishna, if Krishna so desires, I'm going to be editing and make it available in a written form. There are multiple possibilities of what happens to Brahma after his lifetime. And it doesn't give percentages. One possibility is he again becomes Brahma in the next creation. There's several Common is he'll go back to Godhead, but it's not the only option of possible options.
And, this question is from Radhika Kasturi Mataji. When we see the gopis discussing the pastimes of Krishna without knowing his supremacy, how can we contrast this to normal mundane parent talking or discussing about the skills of his child?
Do you understand the question?
As of I understand, what is the difference or what is the contrast between the gopis, elderly gopis discussing the glories of Krishna versus mundane parent discussing about the skills of a child?
About the which of the which?
Skills or talents of
Their child.
their children.
So they're worldly parents talking about their worldly children and their skills and talents, and the difference between that and the elder gopis talking about the glories of Krishna. Well, the similarity is not what the question is. The similarity is the affection of parents for a child. And parents like to appreciate this and that and the other thing about their child. That's natural parenting. They may also have some scolding tendency towards their shortcomings, but that wasn't the question. The difference is Krishna's opulences and describing and appreciating Krishna's opulences has a absolutely different effect than modern parents or material parents that are covered by material consciousness and their children similarly covered. That's a different result. The result of glorifying Krishna as the elder gopis glorify Krishna is eternal life. That's they're in their constitutional position, acting in relation to Krishna. Their eternal life is already situated. And the other is leading to birth and death, material attachment and affinity. And so this is a reflection of that.
I think I noticed that she mentioned specifically that they are glorifying Krishna without knowing his supremacy. Without
That's okay. That's okay. Without knowing his supremacy is okay.
And this question is from Amrita Keli Mataji. We heard the gunja berries and simple forest minerals are more beautiful and opulent than the opulence of opulence of Vaikuntha. This prompted me to think of the message of simplicity which we have been discussing in our Srimad Bhagavatam classes from Srimad Bhagavatam 1st Canto 10th chapter, the talks of the ladies of Hastinapura. When I have this tendency to understand the things in analytical manner and probably make things more complicated than they are, it becomes difficult to have that simplicity in the heart. And I feel that sometimes it leads to struggle in my faith. Could you kindly speak more on how to cultivate that simplicity, especially when I am exactly on the opposite side?
Well, how to cultivate qualities that you don't have when you know that those are good qualities and you don't have them. They say, aside from the specifics, you can go to the specific, but you apply the principle to the specific. And the principle is find passages from Scripture or personalities from the Scripture that exemplify that quality. The answer I'm giving now is what Ramanujacharya has taught about developing nice qualities. you find a role model or two or three, and you hear about those persons, remember those persons, glorify those persons, etc., etc. Read about them again and again. And by that method, you're associating with those persons, and you naturally develop qualities like those with whom you associate. There may be, aside from scriptural personalities, there may be persons in this world that you appreciate, have that capacity or quality, and serve them and remember them, and etc. Same, it can be a scriptural person or a today person or both. And in your heart, that sankalpa, when that sankalpa is there, just like you expressed, it's not like you need to just check out of being analytical. We look at our acharyas. Gosh, how analytical are they? Jiva Goswami. But the simplicity is there at the same time. There's a charm in his simplicity that's very wonderful. So you don't need to trash the analytical side. You need to spiritualize it.
This question is from Sanjay Prabhu. When Brahma is praying to attain Krishna, I reflect and I see that I don't have strong desire to attain Krishna. I do my sadhana out of respect and duty towards spiritual master. Is this instruction is to bring us above the sadhana bhakti?
Yes.
And I'm trying to see how I can develop the desire to attain Krishna.
Well, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam and taking it internally. Katayanta shamam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. By that process, it becomes it goes inside and it becomes your life. Be patient and continue hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and cultivating an appreciation for its message, and it will happen.
Then this is from Girivaradhari Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I would like to express my humble gratitude to all our acharyas for their sharing of their deep love to Krishna as their commentary. Is there a way I can return their love?
Hear and take the message that you heard to heart and mold your life accordingly. When it's in your heart, it'll become part of your way of life. That's service. You have children, and supposing your children ask you, what can we do? How can we please you? They take the instructions that you're giving them, and they bring them to their heart. You're pleased. Same.
And this question is from Sri Devi Mataji. Brahma has 4 heads, and the reason I have heard is to recite the 4 Vedas continuously to do the creation. Vedas have been divided by Vyasadeva only in this Kali Yuga. Before that, it was all the same or one. So, was he created with the 4 heads by foreseeing the future that the Vedas will be divided into 4?
I've never heard this answer that you said you heard. This is the first time hearing that answer. No, maybe the answer is yes, but I never heard it before. What I have heard instead is his inquisitive spirit, Brahma Jigyasa, resulted in his wanting to know who am I and looking in the 4 directions simultaneously, thus 4 heads. But he doesn't need a prompt of for this reason, that reason either. So that's my answer to your question.
And this question is from Chandana Mataji. Hare Krishna Maharaj, do all the Brahmas of the different universes go through a similar experience of being in darkness with nothing around them when they appear and are empowered to create after tapasya to Vishnu?
Yes. Because in the beginning there isn't anything. There's no universe, which means there's no sun, there's no light, there's darkness. And different universes are of different size and different Brahmas and so forth, but it's the same sequence. Mm-hmm.
This question is from Taruni Radha Mataji. In today's morning session, you were saying that as neophyte devotees, we need to cultivate the knowledge that we are a soul. Please, can you enlist things that I can do to apply this?
Read Bhagavad Gita and apply it. And have this inquisitive spirit, and Krishna will help you. Follow the lessons of bhakti with that inquisitive spirit, and it will come. That's it.
I had a curiosity question, Guru Maharaj. In
Okay.
second canto, the relationship between Lord Vishnu and Brahma seems like they're shaking hands.
Yes, the friendship.
Friendship.
Dasya ras.
Yeah.
I mean, Sakya ras.
And here it's a little different that he's really feeling awe and reverence. Are they same Brahmas or maybe they're...
Not necessarily. The Brahma that's in Brahma Samhita specifically is in conjugal rasa. Anything from you? No. Okay. Okay. See the Prabhupada ki jai.